Humans burn beneath their own sun, break under gravity, fear death constantly. So what if we were never meant for Earth? Every species on Earth looks like it belongs here. Fish move through water like the ocean built them. Birds carry hollow bones light enough to escape gravity itself. Polar bears wear the Arctic on their skin. Even reptiles can sit under brutal sunlight for hours without their bodies turning against them. And then there's us. The older I get, and the more time I spend reading biology and evolution, the more one disturbing thought keeps crawling into the back of my mind. Humans feel strangely misplaced on this planet. Not completely, just enough to make you uncomfortable once you notice it. Think about sunlight for a second. The same star that powers nearly all life on Earth can quietly damage our skin so badly that we invented chemical shields just to stand outside safely. Sunscreen is such a normal part of life now that we rarely stop and ask how bizarre that actually is. Imagine explaining to another species that humans need manufactured protection from their own sun. Then there's the spine. Almost everybody eventually suffers from back pain. For out of 5 people. At some point, you have to stop blaming individuals and start questioning the blueprint itself. Our bodies carry the feeling of something unfinished, like evolution took an ancient structure designed for 4 limbs and awkwardly forced it upright before the job was complete. And childbirth may be the strangest part of all. Human birth is shockingly dangerous compared to most mammals. Our babies' heads became so large from brain expansion that women's bodies are pushed to biological limits simply to bring life into the world. Before modern medicine, childbirth was one of the most common ways women died. No other dominant species on Earth seems built with this many contradictions. And the deeper I looked into human biology, the harder it became to ignore a question that sounds ridiculous at first, until it doesn't. What if humanity isn't perfectly adapted to Earth, because we were never meant to be? Or maybe even stranger, what if intelligence itself is a beautiful evolutionary accident that came with consequences nature never had time to fix? But the more unsettling mystery about humans isn't hidden in our bodies, it's hidden in our minds. Sometimes, I think consciousness may be the strangest thing evolution ever created. No other creature on this planet seems trapped inside awareness the way we are. Animals fear danger in the moment, but humans can suffer from events that haven't even happened yet. We imagine the future, we replay the past, we build entire emotional worlds inside our heads. And somewhere along the way, we became aware of something no other species fully comprehends. One day, we will die. That realization changed everything. I remember being young and suddenly understanding mortality for the first time. Not as an abstract idea, but as something real. One day, everyone I love disappears. One day, I disappear too, and what always haunted me afterward was not just the fear itself, but the question of why evolution would ever allow a mind to carry something this psychologically heavy. What survival advantage does existential dread actually provide? And yet, somehow, almost every major human achievement seems connected to it. Religion, philosophy, monuments, myths, science, even civilization itself. It often feels like humanity has spent thousands of years trying to emotionally negotiate with death. But the deeper contradiction is how disconnected we seem from the natural balance surrounding us. Most species participate in ecosystems. Predators regulate populations. Forests recycle nutrients. Oceans stabilize climate systems. Nature operates like an enormous conversation where every organism responds to limits. Humans don't respond to limits very well. We cut forests faster than they regrow. We alter rivers, oceans, and atmospheres. We consume resources as if expansion never ends. Sometimes, when I look at human civilization from far enough away, it doesn't resemble a species living inside Earth's ecosystem. It resembles a species overpowering it, and honestly, I think that's why so many people become fascinated by the idea that humans are somehow different from the rest of life on Earth. Not because we secretly want alien fantasies to be true, but because deep down, many of us already feel the disconnect, and strangely enough, some real scientists have felt it too. And the moment I discovered that even respected scientists had questioned humanity's place in the universe, this stopped feeling like a strange internet theory and started feeling like a real philosophical mystery. In 1973, Francis Crick, the man who helped uncover the structure of DNA itself, proposed something almost impossible to ignore once you hear it. Alongside chemist Leslie Orgel, he introduced the idea of directed panspermia, the possibility that life on Earth may have been intentionally seeded by an advanced civilization somewhere else in the cosmos. What fascinates me isn't whether the theory is true, it's the fact that someone like Crick thought the question deserved serious thought at all. Because when one of the founders of modern genetics looks at the history of life and quietly says, "Something about this story feels incomplete," you pay attention. Part of the mystery comes from timing. Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago, but evidence suggests life appeared astonishingly early, possibly around 3.8 billion years ago. In geological terms, that's almost immediate. The planet was still violent, unstable, and constantly bombarded by asteroids, yet somehow chemistry crossed the impossible boundary into biology incredibly fast. Even now, science still doesn't fully understand how lifeless molecules became self-replicating organisms. Then, there was the Murchison meteorite. When scientists examined the rock after it crashed into Australia in 1969, they discovered amino acids inside it, the same fundamental molecular ingredients used by life on Earth. That discovery changed something profound in how we see the universe. It meant biology may not be isolated to this planet. The building blocks of life are drifting through space itself, and life may be far harder to destroy than we once imagined. Tiny organisms, like tardigrades, can survive conditions that sound almost unreal. Freezing temperatures, radiation, dehydration, even exposure to the vacuum of space. Life, it turns out, is stubborn beyond comprehension. Personally, I don't look at these discoveries and conclude that humans are aliens. But I do think they force us to confront something deeply humbling. The universe may be far stranger, far more biologically connected, and far less understood than we are emotionally comfortable admitting. And yet, despite all of that mystery, mainstream evolutionary biology still offers an explanation that may be even more unsettling than the alien hypothesis itself. And honestly, the deeper I went into evolutionary biology, the more I realized the truth may not be that humans came from somewhere else, but that evolution itself is far messier than most of us were taught to believe. When we picture evolution, we often imagine a process slowly perfecting life over millions of years, shaping creatures into forms that flawlessly match their environments. But real evolution doesn't work like an engineer designing a machine from scratch. It works like a desperate improvisation built on top of older improvisations. Nature doesn't create perfection, it creates survival that is good enough. And suddenly, so many human contradictions start making sense. Our bodies still carry the fingerprints of ancient ancestors that moved on four limbs for tens of millions of years before upright walking ever appeared. From an evolutionary perspective, becoming fully bipedal happened surprisingly recently. That means our spines, hips, knees, and muscles are still adapting to a posture our species hasn't completely stabilized around yet. Sometimes I think of the human body less as a finished product and more as a transition phase that accidentally became dominant. Even our vulnerability to sunlight begins to look different through this lens. Early humans likely lost body hair because sweating allowed better temperature control during long-distance movement across hot African landscapes. We sacrificed natural protection for endurance. In return, humans became one of the greatest persistence hunters on Earth, capable of exhausting animals simply by continuing to move. But every advantage came with a cost. That pattern appears everywhere in our species. Larger brains gave us language, memory, imagination, planning, and eventually civilization itself. But those same expanding brains collided with the physical limits of upright anatomy, turning childbirth into one of the most dangerous reproductive processes among mammals. Evolution never truly solved the conflict, it compromised, and maybe compromise is the hidden story of humanity. Our instincts were shaped for tiny tribes struggling for immediate survival, not for managing global economies, artificial intelligence, or planetary ecosystems. We now possess technology powerful enough to reshape Earth itself, while still carrying emotional systems designed for prehistoric uncertainty. Sometimes, I wonder if the real human crisis is not that we are alien to this world, but that our intelligence evolved faster than our wisdom did. And even then, one mystery still refuses to fully disappear: the speed of what humans became. Because even after evolutionary biology explains so much about us, I still can't stop coming back to one impossible question: why did humans accelerate so unbelievably fast? When you step back far enough, the timeline almost stops feeling real. For most of Earth's history, evolution moved slowly. Dinosaurs ruled the planet for over 160 million years. Sharks existed before trees. Entire species remained relatively unchanged for millions upon millions of years, because survival favored stability, not constant reinvention. And then humanity appeared, not just another intelligent animal, but something that changed the planet at a speed nature had never seen before. Chimpanzees use simple tools today that are not dramatically different from the tools their ancestors used millions of years ago. Dolphins are incredibly intelligent, emotionally complex, and socially sophisticated, yet they never built technology, agriculture, or civilization despite existing for tens of millions of years. Humans crossed some invisible threshold that no other species ever crossed. We went from stone tools to artificial intelligence in what amounts to a geological blink. From fire to electricity, from mythology to quantum physics, from staring at distant stars to launching machines beyond the solar system itself. And what fascinates me most is that this acceleration keeps increasing. Human knowledge no longer grows generation by generation, it compounds. Every discovery becomes the foundation for the next one. Every invention creates tools for faster inventions afterward. Information now moves across the planet almost instantly, connecting billions of minds into something that sometimes feels larger than any individual human being. Scientists offer many explanations for this leap. Language allowed knowledge to survive beyond memory. Cooking increased energy efficiency, and may have fueled brain expansion. Genetic mutations linked to communication possibly transform social learning forever. All of those ideas matter, but none of them fully remove the feeling that humanity is still something profoundly unusual in the history of life. Not supernatural, not separate from nature, just astonishingly strange. Maybe that's why humans keep looking toward the stars, not because we secretly know we came from somewhere else, but because consciousness itself creates longing. A permanent sense that there must always be something beyond the horizon. And perhaps that endless restlessness is not evidence that we don't belong on Earth. Maybe it's evidence that the universe became aware of itself through us. Maybe the real lesson is not that humans are aliens, but that being human means living with unanswered questions. We are a species intelligent enough to study the stars, yet emotional enough to fear loneliness, meaning, and death. Instead of seeing that as weakness, maybe we should see it as responsibility. Curiosity is what pushed humanity from caves to space, and that same curiosity can push us to live more thoughtfully, protect this planet better, and understand ourselves more deeply. The mystery of humanity may never be fully solved, but perhaps the search itself is what gives our existence meaning. What do you personally think? Are humans simply an unusual product of evolution, or is there still something about humanity's science hasn't fully explained yet? Leave your thoughts in the comments below so everyone can share their perspective together. And if you enjoy exploring deep science mysteries, like this, subscribe to the channel to support future videos and help keep these conversations alive.